I leaned in, I listened.
Every single one of you has an opportunity to learn and grow. Everything's motion. Think about your movement through life. Sign up for life.
Can you keep showing up because you are pursuing something greater than your own self?
A good leader can help someone get better at their job, but a great leader can help someone get better at their life.
Even if you're a gatekeeper, that's your leadership. And wherever you are, I say that let your presence be felt, and let your absence be noticed.
If we're going to follow you, it's because we believe that you can see a brighter future.
I don't promise you it will be easy, but I do promise you it will be worthwhile.
Hello, 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 hello. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here and for coming onto the leadership platform. We are very grateful that you are here, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much. I see so many of you already joining at 7 o'clock. We have over 60 people online at the moment, and we are expecting even more. So you are all welcome. And to know you, we will want you to just put your name, your organization, and maybe your position, when the country you are calling from, we are joining from, because we know that people from the US, from UK, from Togo, from everywhere joining us. So just say, for example, I'm Samuel Ayim. I'm CEO of the Center for Transformational Leadership, and I'm joining from Ghana. So just introduce yourself so we can see you. Just go to the chat box and put your name, your role, your organization, and where you are joining from, and we would appreciate you very much. The other thing is that as we go ahead, if you have a learning, if there's some message, there's a point that you appreciate, please go ahead and put it in the chat box. Put your sentiment, how you are feeling in the chat box. We want to see how you are feeling about what you're hearing. And if you are learning something new, just put it in the chat box. If there's something you are going to change in your life, just put it in the chat box. When you write it, it sticks into your head. So write it in the chat box, and we would appreciate that. But if you have questions, on your screen, you will see the Q&A. If you have any question, put it in the Q&A session. If you have a comment, put it in the chat. If you have any questions, put it in the Q&A so that we will be able to address your questions. We are going to have a short presentation on leading with emotional intelligence. And we'll take 25 to 30 minutes in a presentation. Then we're going to have about 40 minutes to be able to ask questions. So feel free, we want you to interact, we want to because we have so many people, we cannot ask you to talk, but write your questions and your comments in the Q&A box, and we would appreciate you. We thank God for today. We thank God for the opportunity that He has given to us. And we thank God that we are able to bring to you the leadership platform this week. Now, the subject we are going to discuss this week is so important. And as you would see very shortly, a lot of us, we go to school and we are happy to say we are the #1 in our class, we are first class, we have an A, we have A+, and when we get a D or an E, then we are in trouble. This week I had to counsel somebody who has an E in a paper that she has done, and for 2 days she's crying all the day and not eating. The mother was just very down and upset. And why? Because she got an E in just one paper and she has to rewrite it. Our school system just tests one aspect of our capabilities. And a lot of the time, they don't test several aspects. But our being, God created us as a complex being. And there are several aspects of our intelligence that we need. That is the reason why sometimes you go out of school, the first class person doesn't make it, and then you meet the third class person in life, and he's just asking, why? When we were in school, this guy was just, if you like, excuse my word, so stupid. He didn't know anything. How is it that he's making it so big in life and me, I'm not? This evening, we are going to try to understand it. This is an important subject. We will not finish, but like all our courses, we have a full course behind each of the topics we are discussing. And if you're interested, we will be able to come to you with that one. So without much ado, I'm going to invite our speaker for today, a very accomplished woman who has a professional career spanning over 30 years in several organizations, in corporate life, in financial services, in industry, and currently is a consulting trainer. She's been training different people from corporate world, from different backgrounds. She's counseled and coached different people from different, in her role as head of HR and general manager in several organizations. She's met, interviewed, talked to, advised, counseled hundreds, if not thousands of people at their jobs. He's seen leaders. He's seen first-class people flopped. She's seen third-class people just rise to the occasion, and she's seen all the dimensions of human behavior. And she's going to share a bit of that with us. We at the Center for Transformational Leadership are very pleased to have with us this evening Marie-Louise, Mrs., who is going to speak to us for the next 25 to 30 minutes, and is going to also answer our questions. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining, and help me welcome, just show on your chat, wave your hand to welcome Mrs. Marie-Louise PRAH, who is going to speak to us. Mrs. PRAH, thank you for being with us. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam, for that wonderful introduction. I think this evening we're going to speak about an area which a lot of us have had to train ourselves, deliberately, and become a little better at. I think it's a lifelong experience to be able to demonstrate and lead with emotional intelligence. So this evening we are going to look at this topic, emotional intelligence, which I believe a lot of us know about, and perhaps may not have thought through it as much, and also not have realized the full extent or importance of emotional intelligence in leadership, in managing people, everywhere we find ourselves. So, why is it done? Why is it not moving? Okay. So why is it important that we talk about emotional intelligence? I mean, the emphasis so far has been on our intelligence, which is our mental intelligence in solving problems, in dealing with situations. But when it comes to what lies behind our actions, sometimes we relegate it to the backseat and we don't really stress on that. And so we need to consciously develop our intelligence in applying emotions, in addressing issues, in dealing with the daily situations and circumstances that confront us. So we will share a few slides, as we go along, and we will have the opportunity also to ask some questions, make contributions to what we're about to share. So first of all, when we talk about emotions, what are we talking about? Emotions are the actions, are the things that drive our actions. Whatever we do is stemmed from something within us. So we translate how we feel into how we act. Now, sometimes this can be positive or can be negative. So feelings are linked to situations, and sometimes they can even be imagined, So your emotions can be either real or they can be imagined. And whether they are imagined or real, they do impact how you behave and how you react to situations. Now, let's look at the type of emotions. And I believe everybody this resonates with everybody. So there are 6 primary emotions. I'm sure we can think of a dozen other emotions, but these are the primary emotions, and we call them primary because these are the broad groups of emotions that we show. And there may be other emotions which may fall under any one of these 6. So those 6 are sadness, happiness, surprise, fear, disgust, and anger. So it means that all the emotions that we show can be categorized under any of these 6. So it means that there can be varying degrees of happiness, surprise, fear, sadness, anger, and disgust. So that's why we call these the primary emotions. Now, there are also other emotions which are not so distinct. They are kind of, they don't show as much. When you're happy, everybody sees that you're happy. When you're angry, everybody sees that you're angry. But there are background emotions which are intrinsic within us that also, again, shape our behavior and how we deal with situations, how we deal with conflict, how we deal with problems. So emotions like well-being, when you, let's say on a good day that you have exercised and physically you feel good, you feel good about yourself, it translates into how you react and how you react to people, how you deal with people, how you talk to people, and how you address the issues that come your way. Malaise is also another background emotion. Malaise is actually when sometimes you don't even know what is causing it, but you don't feel so good. Also calm, being calm, if somebody is calm, they demonstrate it in how they talk, they demonstrate it in their speech, in their manner, in how they, they relate to people, how they talk, how they address issues. And when they are tense, the same thing happens. And then pain and pleasure, these are all what we call background emotions. And they are background emotions because sometimes they are not visibly seen, but they are what control how we behave. And they are fundamental to the way we relate to other people, the way we relate and address issues. And then again, there's also the secondary emotions. And these are social emotions because these definitely relate to other people. Embarrassment, jealousy, guilt, shame, and pride. I mean, you can't have embarrassment without other people. You can't have jealousy, pride, shame when other people are not involved. So the first sets of emotions that we talked about, they could either apply to us as individuals or as people in groups. Now, why do we need to control our emotions? It's so important that we control our emotions, but why? Because it can lead to health issues. I mean, when you don't control your emotions, you know, sometimes a lot of the time you put yourself under a lot of stress. So it creates extra stress in our bodies. It can lead to health issues. And, you know, it can lead to a breakdown in our relationships. And also it can lead, that can even result in loss of jobs. And so it is absolutely important that we manage our emotions. So having talked about emotions, the various types of emotions, the primary emotions, the secondary emotions, the background emotions, what then do we mean when we talk about emotional intelligence? Intelligence of emotions, what does it mean? So Goldman is an author and a writer, described emotional intelligence as the capacity, our capacity for recognizing our own feelings and those of others. Our own feelings and those of others. It's also our capacity for motivating others. It is also our capacity for managing emotions well in ourselves and in our relationships. So in all of this, you see two things. So emotional intelligence is about we as individuals and we as individuals in groups. So it's about us first and about others. So our capacity to recognize how we ourselves feel and how other people feel, and what we do with that recognition of how other people feel in managing them, in leading them, in addressing situations, in handling issues, is what is called emotional intelligence. When you have the capacity to recognize how you yourself feel and how other people feel, and use that knowledge to manage them or to lead them or to address issues, then we say that you are emotionally intelligent. Again, so emotional intelligence is also the ability to recognize your own emotions and understand what they are telling you and realize how those emotions affect the people around you. So it means that you need to be conscious of your own emotions. You must understand yourself. And, as we go through these slides, you realize, as I said from the beginning, that it's all about ourselves and other people. Ourselves first, and how we relate to other people using our recognition and our knowledge of what impacts their actions. And what impacts their actions, we've already said, is their emotions. These various emotions, the primary emotions, the background emotions, all the other emotions that we've talked about. It also involves our perception of others. And you know what perception means? Perception is when you understand how people feel, other people feel. And it allows you, with that understanding, it allows you to manage how you relate to them. When you understand how people feel, and that allows you to regulate or control how you relate to them, it means that you value people because you listen to them, you listen to their needs, you are able to see where they're coming from. That's empathizing with them. And because you identify and see where they are coming from, you then are able to use that to relate to them, to lead them, to influence them, to impact them in every way and manner that you wish. Now, so regular intelligence is important for success. When we say regular intelligence, we're talking about our mental intelligence. So our ability to plan, to calculate, to do things with our mental intelligence. That is very important for success in life. But emotional intelligence is key to relating well to others and achieving our goals. Why? Because if you look at all situations, work, home, everything that we do with other people. And so that is why it is important when we understand what drives people's behavior to succeed, because we don't succeed with other people. We don't succeed alone. We always succeed with others. So many people believe that emotional intelligence is as important as regular intelligence. In fact, as we will see, we realize that it's actually probably more important than even our mental intelligence. And because of that, you find that many companies now are testing on emotional intelligence in addition to the regular intelligence, which is our mental intelligence. Now, this testing now is more cognitive, so it's more to do with behavior in addition to dealing with aptitude, because aptitude relates to what you know and what you can do with that knowledge, but your behavior is how you respond in your dealings with others. And ultimately, that is what brings results. And as leaders, you need to bring out results from different types of people to bring out the results that you have set for yourselves and for the group. So again, in defining emotional intelligence, we can say that it's the ability to sense, to understand, to manage, to communicate, and effectively apply the acumen of emotions, the emotions that we've described earlier on, all those emotions, the power to use that as a source of energy or information, creativity, influence, and to resolve conflict. So basically, it is our ability to sense, understand, manage, and communicate. Now, sensing and understanding is what we need to apply in order that we can effectively manage and achieve results with other people. So our ability to be able to do that and to use how we sense and how we understand people's emotions and feelings and use that to effectively communicate with them and manage them within our teams and within our work environment, within our home environment, is what emotional intelligence is all about. Now, so why is it important? We've already talked about it, reducing stresses in our bodies. We talked about it being good to achieve success. But at the workplace particularly, emotional intelligence is so important because it increases productivity, because it increases people's well-being. People feel good about themselves when you relate to them with understanding of how they feel and where they are coming from, and use that, apply that in your dealings with them to manage conflicts and to achieve results for the team. So it also reduces stress, it moderates conflicts, and of course, it promotes understanding and relationships. And by that, of course, it fosters stability and continuity, not only at the workplace, but in all situations of life. So these are some facts about emotional intelligence. If we don't pay attention to our emotions, we will act it out. If we don't, later on, we'll find that, like I said from the beginning, emotional intelligence is about us first, the individual, and the group, other people, the individual and others. So when we pay attention to our emotions, first our own emotions, if we don't pay attention to it, we will act them out. So for instance, if you're aware of how you react in certain situations, you know that you have, you're irritable, you're easily irritable. Once you pay attention to it, you will then be able to control it so that you don't act it out. Because a lot of the time you can try to hide your emotions, but you can't be as good as you think. You need to consciously develop the habit or the art of controlling what you have become aware of yourself and how it affects your dealings with other people. Now, universal emotions exist, but cultures display them differently. So you find that a lot of the time, people behave the way they behave because of the culture, the cultural background that they have come from. And that is where your knowledge and understanding of that background helps you to understand them and to deal with them better. So emotional intelligence comes to play where you are dealing with people with different backgrounds and different cultures. Now, because you understand that they are acting in a certain way because of their cultural background, then you will understand and be able to, with that understanding, deal with them better. I mean, typically, you know that there are certain cultures where the culture requires that if you're talking to an elderly person, for instance, and this is our Ghanaian culture as well. If you're talking to an elderly person, you cannot walk away or fold your arms or, stand with your arms akimbo when you're talking to an elderly person, right? So if you're dealing with somebody who does not come from that kind of culture, you are talking to that person and the person is standing akimbo while talking to an elderly person. If that elderly person understands the culture that the person is coming from, they will not be angry, or they will understand why the person is behaving that way. And with that understanding, it will help them to be able to relate to that person better. So leaders who possess a high level of emotional intelligence create an effective climate at work. And when they demonstrate emotional intelligence, it also develops that in their subordinates. So their subordinates emulate that emotional intelligence that they display and also use it. And generally, with all of that, it creates a more conducive working environment. So the higher the level of job complexity and authority, the greater the impact of emotional intelligence. So when the job is complex and it's fast and the demands are high and so on, the more that is, the more the need for leaders in that kind of work environment to display a high level of understanding of emotions and use that to reduce the stress and to create the environment that enables everybody to work happily and to want to contribute and do their best. So research has shown, over years, that you find that there's a certain balance in life. And research shows that to be balanced in life and to achieve greater results in life, you need 25% of your academic inputs. And that includes all your academic qualifications, your doctorate degrees, your master's degree, everything that you have. But 75% has to be emotional and social intelligence, which you need to be able to work with human beings, because human beings act on emotions. It's their emotions that control their actions. And when they come to the workplace, they are behaving based on the emotions that is going on within them. So you need 75% of your intelligence to be emotional and social to be able to work effectively with human beings, colleagues, friends, and to live in the world generally. If one has all the qualifications, so now we have to run through this very quickly. So intelligence versus emotional intelligence versus intelligence quotient. You see the difference there. This is intelligence quotient is a score that's derived from your standard tests and so on. But emotional intelligence is like using emotions to think and to enhance your reasoning. Now, there are few, well-known speakers who have talked about emotional intelligence, but I want us to go straight into the skills, the 4 skills of emotional intelligence, because basically we want this to be able to practice how we can develop and improve on our own emotional intelligence. So if we look at the 4 emotional intelligence skills. Like I said from the beginning, emotional intelligence is all about ourselves and about society or other people. So you can break it down into 2 main skills. 2 to deal with ourselves and the other two to deal with other people. With ourselves, we need to be aware of our own emotions and to be able to manage ourselves and our emotions. So as far as our personal competence of our emotions are concerned, we need our self-awareness and our self-management or self-regulation. And then to deal with other people, we need our social competence, which is again, our awareness of other people's emotions and how we manage our relationships with them. So this is the roadmap of emotional intelligence. On the left side, we find everything to do with ourselves. And then on the right side, all the skills that we need to do, the skills that we need to have to be able to relate with others. So our self-awareness is our emotional awareness and an accurate assessment of our own emotions. And that gives us our self-confidence. Once you know yourself, you know the emotions that control you, you become more in control of those emotions, and that gives you that self-confidence. Self-management is when you become aware of it, you now are able to manage those emotions effectively. And when you are able to do that, it drives how you achieve. It shapes your commitment. And because it drives you, you are able to take initiative and you become optimistic. You know, so all these are to do with ourselves. Now, to do with other people, there's empathy and social skills. And we will go through each of them very quickly. So self-awareness, when you are self-aware, people with high emotional intelligence are usually self-aware. So when you have, like I said in the beginning, if you have a problem with anger, for instance, you are aware of it. And once you are aware of it, you are able, because you are aware of it, it helps you to control it. And it helps you also to see how it affects other people. And through that, you are able to now manage your relationships with other people based on your self-awareness and your management of that emotion. Emotionally intelligent people also understand their emotions, and because of this, they don't let their emotions rule them. Once you understand your emotions, you are able to regulate them. So they don't rule you, they don't control you. They are confident because they trust their intuition. Their intuition is when they know that a certain emotion is about to happen because they know themselves, and they don't let that emotion get the better of them. So many people believe that self-awareness is the most important part of emotional intelligence. You must be self-aware. You must understand yourself and the emotions, the biggest emotions that control you. And once you become self-aware, you are now able to use that self-awareness to control those emotions. So these are typical characteristics of self-awareness: self-confidence, realistic self-assessment, self-depreciating sense of humor. So you're able to laugh at yourself, you know, you are modest about your achievements. I mean, because you know yourself, you can laugh at yourself without getting angry. And you solicit criticism. You know, some people just can't take criticism, and that is because they are not aware of themselves. When you become emotionally self-aware, you can accept criticism. I mean, if you can laugh at yourself, you can accept criticism from anybody. So you actually solicit it, and first, after that, constructive criticism. Of course, the criticism also must be constructive. Now there's then the self-management. When you have become aware, then, like I said, this is the ability to control your emotions and your impulses. Okay. So people who self-regulate typically don't allow themselves to become either too angry or too jealous, and they don't make impulsive and careless decisions because they regulate themselves. They stop because they know themselves. That's the self-awareness. And because they know themselves, they allow it to regulate and to control their actions. They think before they act. Thinking can only come out of that self-awareness. So you stop to think and then you act. Characteristics of self-regulation are thoughtfulness, comfort with change, because when you react to change immediately, it means you haven't thought through it. So you stop, think, and then you move on. Now, again, characteristics of, now I'm going to run through because we don't have much time so that we can address some questions. Now, again, another trait and characteristics of self in that whole equation of emotional intelligence is motivation. People with a high degree of emotional intelligence, they are usually motivated. Why? Because they are aware of their emotions. They are able to control their emotions, so their emotions don't control them. Because they are able to control their emotions, they are able to plan better, they are able to initiate better, so they are motivated. So they also achieve better. They are willing to defer immediate results for long-term success. Now, if you defer immediate results for long-term success, it means that you see the bigger long-term success, and therefore you are able to manage or defer your immediate results because you know and look up to the long-term success. They are highly productive and they love a challenge. They are challenged. They are always wanting to do more to achieve. And they are effective in whatever they do because they are self-motivated. That is coming from an awareness of the self and an ability to control or regulate the emotions that you yourself feel. Now, here are some examples of motivation: a passion for work itself and for new challenges. These are all characteristics of people who are motivated because they have become self-aware of their emotions, and because of that understanding of themselves and assessment of themselves, they are better able to control and regulate their own emotions, and because of that, they are driven. So they have a passion for whatever they do. They have energy to improve, and they are optimistic about the future. Now, social awareness is the other side where you relate to other people. So when you have you have dealt with yourself, you have become aware of your own emotions, how it affects, how your emotions affect other people. And now you put yourself in the shoes of the other person, and you become aware of how they feel and how their emotions also control them. So what we call social awareness is the ability to accurately pick on the emotions in other people and understand what is really going on with them. That means that you put yourself in their shoes, and so you understand where they are coming from. Once you do that, immediately it regulates how you relate to them. So when you perceive what people are feeling and thinking, even if you do not feel the same way, but you are coming from a position of understanding. And like we said earlier on, if it's the cultural background, because you are now coming from the position of understanding of what is driving their actions and their emotions, it helps you now to deal and to relate to them better. Listening attentively is also another characteristic of social awareness. You need to listen, observe what is going on around, and the These are very important aspects of social awareness. Stop anticipating people's responses, what is going on, and pay attention. You know, when you anticipate people's responses, you jump at what they have not even said because you are anticipating them. That is not emotional intelligence. When you are aware, when you become aware of where they are coming from, and you understand the emotions that are driving their behavior, you will not anticipate their response. You will wait for their response because you are coming from a position of understanding, not letting your own thoughts and feelings disturb your observation. These are all characteristics.
Hello, good evening. I think Marie-Louise has a little problem with her network, but so far it's going very well. And we want to thank all of you for holding the fort. We are talking leadership here. And I think so far the presentation has highlighted leadership is influence. There is no way you're going to be able to influence other people if you are not going to be able to relate well with them. And that is why all the science, as we've been told, shows clearly that 75% of your life success depends on emotional intelligence. 75. So all your intellectual intelligence, your ability to think, to analyze, to know you cannot start video. I can't start my video. You have to give me. Hello. Well, we're really sorry that we had some hitches here. If you're still online, just let us show that you are seeing us. Just go to the chat and let's see if you're still with us. We're sorry for the hiccup out there. All right. So we are back and we.
Can you keep showing up because you are pursuing something greater than your own self.
A good leader can help someone get better at their job, but a great leader can help someone get better at their life.
Even if you're a gatekeeper, that's your leadership. And wherever you are, I say that let your presence be felt and let your absence be noticed.
If we're going to follow you, it's because we believe that you can see a brighter future.
I don't promise you it will be easy, but I do promise you it will be worthwhile.
So thank you. If Marie-Louise has connected back, we would ask Marie-Louise to sum up and conclude so that we can take some questions. We're sorry for the hiccup. The internet, when you're enjoying the game, the internet plays games. So thank you for connecting back.
Okay. So, yeah.
If we can just.
It looks like, I mean, I'll just wrap up. This is a very lengthy topic. So I wanted us to go through a few of the skills that are required for managing relationships using emotional intelligence. And so I'll just wrap up with the key skills. The most important key skill is empathy. And perhaps this really is the most important element of emotional intelligence. And it's all about your ability to identify and understand the wants, the needs, and the viewpoints of the people around you, and then using that to be able to relate to them better. So I will sum up by saying that emotional intelligence simply, we say we are emotionally intelligent if we ourselves are aware of our emotions, and because of our awareness, we use that to regulate or control our actions. And we also use our understanding of other people's emotions to build and to develop the relationships that we have with them in order that we can achieve the results either in our teams at work or at home or in any situation. So this is a summary of emotional intelligence. I mean, there's so much to it, and we could delve into every point and how those skills are developed. But in a nutshell, we need to understand that emotional intelligence is about first ourselves, our self-awareness, and our self-management, and our relationship with others, using that self-awareness and control to build and develop our relationships. So with this summary, I think we can take, I see that there are a lot of questions already. So we will try to address some of the questions that have come up, and then we will call it a day.
Thank you. I wish I can just give you an ovation. Thank you very much, Marie-Louise. That was powerful. In fact, you need more time, we know. But ladies and gentlemen, the essence of the platform is to introduce you to the topic. And at the Center for Transformational Leadership, together with our partners who we are inviting onto the platform, we have every topic that we are developing, we are talking about here, we have a full course behind it. And we encourage those of you who want to grow to get in touch with us as we develop these courses and as we offer them, so that you can take your time, go through the courses, get the material, and grow. If we spend how many years to go to school, we need to succeed, then we can see what we are losing. That is how come we can have our young students stand and insult their president because they didn't get approved to write their exams. That is how we see young people, stand in front of adults and say all sorts of things. Absolutely critical skill that is missing in our educational training system is emotional intelligence, and we are going to encourage you to enroll on some of these courses and improve your emotional intelligence. So there's so many questions up already, but before I go to the questions, I want to, you've seen our video playing when you join in and in the middle, and we want to remind those of you who are joining for the first time that we are working up to the big day, the biggest leadership event internationally is the John C. Maxwell's Live to Lead event. And Live to Lead, we've been hosting Live to Lead in Ghana for the last 4 years. This year will be our 4th session. And because of COVID, Live to Lead is going virtual. We're going to have a specially created environment, virtual environment, where you're going to enjoy Live to Lead. And it's going for a special price of only $79 till the end of August. Well, we are negotiating to keep the price there, but after end of August, Live to Lead will go for $110. But we will fight to keep it at $79 for our Ghana audience. But we encourage you, the business leaders, the managers, the HR leaders, to bring as many of your people onto this platform, because you're going to have a lot of international speakers. You're going to have a local speaker. We have an amazing surprise speaker from Ghana on the call for you on that day for you. It's October 9 this year. So please go on our website, check the link that we have put there, and please get more information. Contact us for more information on Live to Lead 2020. This is your biggest leadership energizer of the year. And we encourage you. John Maxwell is going to be there. Alan Mulally is going to be there. Steve is going to be there. And so many people are going to be there.
Excuse me, Sam,
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Sarah.
Can you hear me? Your bandwidth is low, so it's very difficult to hear you at the moment.
Okay, so Sarah, can you just mention on Live to Lead, then we'll take on from there.
I will, okay. Thank you, Sam. So Live to Lead, as Sam is saying, will be held on the 9th of October 2020, and you have all the information on the screen right now. As Sam said, we have the link for you to click on and to visit. And I've seen some people are asking whether the presentation will be available. Yes, it's going to be on our website. So if you visit our website, you'll be able to get the presentation, not even the presentation, but the recording. Also, we are streaming this live on Facebook. So you go to our Facebook page and you will find it there. So right now, I will ask Marie-Louise to answer the questions. I'll go to the Q&A right now. So George, can you just take off the slide from the screen? Great. Marie-Louise, are you here with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so here we go. Let me look at the Q&A and I'll read out the first question so that you can, the first 2 or 3 questions. So Albert is saying, please, what is the link emotional intelligence and mental, what is the link, I think, between emotional intelligence and mental health? Also, why is the leader's emotional intelligence, let me read it properly. Why is a leader's a leader's emotional intelligence count? The second question from Patrick is, good evening. Please, how does one measure their level of emotional intelligence? Also, how best should one deal with an abusive direct supervisor who is never appreciative, irrespective of how well or timely work is done? And then the third from Mihai says, we are all aware how the regular intelligence is achieved. There are schools and colleges for this. How do you formally get emotional intelligence if you're not naturally gifted for it? And you may be aware and not even be aware you are emotionally intelligent. Or how do you assess it if you feel you are emotionally intelligent? So I'll leave you to answer these 3 questions, and then we can take on the rest. Marie-Louise, you are on mute. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so the first question about how do you assess your emotional intelligence? That was one of the questions.
Yes.
Okay, I think how you assess your emotional intelligence is, let's say at the workplace, I think is the harmony that you are able to bring to your team, you know, how effectively you are able to work together and achieve the results. That's, I mean, the results that you are able to achieve without conflict and with everybody being happy to be there and contributing their what they know and what they can do is your measurement of your emotional intelligence. It's not just achieving the results, but achieving it in harmony and everybody being happy and working together as a team. That is the measure of your success as an emotionally intelligent leader. Because if you achieve your results, but then there's always tension in your team, there's conflict in your team, then obviously your emotional intelligence is not at its peak. So that is how you can measure your emotional intelligence. The second question was about if you are not gifted with it, how are you able to achieve it? So as we saw in the slides, you know, as I was presenting, I said that there are certain skills that we must practice. And those skills are to do first with our self-awareness. So you need to be able to identify and be aware of the emotions that control you yourself as an individual. And that awareness comes about by examining yourself, you know, and being able to identify the key emotions that drive you. And with that awareness, you then, because you have become aware, you deliberately regulate yourself. For instance, I mean, the biggest one that comes to mind is anger. You know, if you are aware that you are prone to anger, you must then be able to perhaps adopt some strategies. If we had finished our slides, there are some strategies that you can adopt to control and to regulate that anger so that it does not get the better of you. Some people say, okay, you know, whenever you feel that anger is popping up, stop, don't talk, count 10, for instance, as a deliberate way and means of controlling that emotion which you yourself are aware of, a disruptive emotion. And I'm talking about disruptive emotions. Disruptive emotions are the emotions that impact negatively on other people. So these are skills that you need to be aware of. So first, the self-awareness, then the self-management or self-regulation, and then the other skills that are to do with your relationship with other people. And one of those big skills is empathy. Now, empathy is just simply putting yourself in the other person's shoes and trying to understand what is driving their behavior and what is driving whatever they are doing. Once you consciously make it a point to listen and to understand where they are coming from, it reduces the level of conflict between the two of you. It also brings understanding, because when people realize that you have understood them, it gives them comfort, and it gives them, it makes them more comfortable and, you know, to own whatever they are doing and to give of their best, you know. So all these are skills that you need to learn and to practice and to develop. That's the only way to become emotionally intelligent, you know. I think the third question.
The third question was said about an abusive superior. How do you handle somebody who is an abusive superior?
Okay, so if you have an abusive superior and you, the subordinate, are emotionally intelligent, you will not confront that abusive, because in the work environment, right, when you confront and there's a breakdown in the work as well, and you don't achieve anything. Meanwhile, there are rules regarding work in the workplace. The superior is the one who will assess your performance. The superior is the one who, you know, is the custodian of the results of the team. And therefore, if you are a subordinate and you have an abusive superior, the way to go is not to confront that superior, but perhaps to share a few things with an understanding of maybe where that superior is coming from, to share it with a higher authority in order that you avoid that confrontation, which can result in a total breakdown in communication within the team or the department. So I think that when you have an abusive superior, the first thing that you need to do is, number one, let's go through the steps of what we have said. Self-awareness. What are you yourself doing? What is it about yourself? Like I said, it always starts with the self, and then it comes to other people. What is it about yourself that may be contributing to the abuse, whatever the abuse is? That's the first thing. Now, if you are able to identify or recognize what emotions you yourself are exhibiting, and you are able to control it, that may reduce the abusiveness. So that's where it must start. Then the second thing is now to put yourself in the shoes of that superior, right? If you put yourself in the shoes of that superior, coming from understanding of what emotions are controlling you yourself and how it's making you behave, and how that behavior is also impacting on that superior, perhaps you'll be getting somewhere. Then that can shape a conversation with that superior that can solve the problem, whatever that problem is. So I would say that you must first examine whether it's the superior or the subordinate. You must first look at yourself, examine yourself, and be aware of what you are showing, what emotions you yourself are demonstrating, and try to regulate that. And then now have that empathy to put yourself in the shoes of the superior. That if you were the superior and you were receiving this kind of emotions, which your self-awareness is telling you, how would you behave? So again, when you do that, immediately, perhaps you, with that self-awareness and self-regulation, that may even resolve the problem. And if it doesn't, because you now are coming from understanding, that superior may have some challenges, or maybe going through some challenges which are, you know, manifesting itself in the way in making them abusive, you know. So when you come from an understanding of what is causing them to be abusive, then you can begin to address it. So for instance, if you find that they may even be ill, or they may have just discovered that there's something wrong with them physically, you know, and that could be causing them irritation. At the workplace, they cannot share that. So all I'm saying is that you need to be able to empathize with that superior. And once you empathize, that empathy compels you to think through what may be causing, what emotions or what situations may be causing them to become abusive. And when you come from that understanding, it will help you to understand them, and then you'll be better able to relate to that superior.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Marie-Louise. Okay, let me look at the next question. So I can see that empathy is really important, as you have really underscored for us. Let me look at the next questions in the queue. Anonymous is saying, I previously gave up so many friends because they don't push me to challenge myself, but they are very comfortable with mediocrity. This is a sign of, is this a sign of low intelligence? And Peter also says, how to get out of an overwhelming emotions when you are, how are you supposed to get out of overwhelming emotions when you are confronted with an obstacle? Gail says, your line, oh no, that's about the line. Then Martin says, please, my question is, what could be the cause if wherever you find yourself a person hating you for no reason? Okay, could you take those three, please?
Yeah. Okay, the last one, which says, wherever you find yourself with a person hating you for no reason.
That's right.
Well, once you understand, you see, again, the basic principles are the same. Where's the person coming from? You have assessed and said that there's no reason for the person hating you. So, and if you look at yourself, you also have not behaved or shown anything that should warrant the person hating you. So once you have that understanding, the person's hating you is not going to aggravate you. It's not going to make you angry, or it's not going to make you also hate the person or to react to that person's hatred, because you have assessed the situation and you realize that it's for no reason. But again, beyond that, why would anybody hate anybody for no reason? So again, the empathy comes in again. What is the background of this person? What kind of culture is driving them? You know, sometimes it could just be the fact that you are a female, or, you know, it could be anything. It could be cultural. It could be from the background of the person. So again, it's understanding where they are coming from will make you, the point is being able to manage that relationship without friction. So once you apply the empathy skills and you also apply your self-awareness and self-regulation skills, I think you should be fine without aggravating the situation by also reacting to the person's hatred. So that's to the first question, or the last question. Now there was another question about can you recap the two other questions?
Yes, she said, I previously gave up so many friends because they don't push me to challenge myself, but they are very comfortable with mediocrity. Is this a sign of low emotional intelligence?
Because the person gave up a lot of friends because they don't challenge her to,
That's right,
to achieve more.
Yes.
And is it a sign of low emotional intelligence on her part or on the friend's part? On her part. It's not a sign. It's not a sign of low emotional intelligence, because she feels that they don't challenge her enough, right? So maybe it's her own understanding of what challenge, or maybe if she puts herself in their shoes, they may not even have an understanding of what she wants to do or she needs to do. She may not have communicated it enough to them to be able, for them to be able to challenge her. So again, self-awareness comes in. What has she herself or he herself done to ensure that these friends are able to challenge her or him or otherwise? Because it's only when you communicate what you need to do, it's when you communicate your aspirations that another person can challenge you. When you haven't communicated, it means that the person is coming from a position of not even knowing what you aspire to achieve. So it's a two-way thing. While you yourself look at what you have communicated, what you have brought to the table to help that other person to be able to challenge you, you also look at the other person and see that because they are coming from a position of not knowing what it is that you wish to achieve or what it is that you aspire to do, they are not able to challenge you. So then it doesn't become a problem anymore. You don't need to lose that friendship because of that. The moment that awareness comes, you now know that you need to communicate what your aspirations are better to that person. That person with that knowledge then will better be able to also advise you or to challenge you the more. So again, I think the three skills apply: the individual skills and the skills of relationship management apply in this case as well. Now, the first question, can you recap the first question? I think I've answered the third question and the second question. Well, the first question was...
Let me see. I can't see the person. That's Peter, that's me, right? Okay, Anonymous and then Galaxy. Okay, that's not the one. Let me quickly look at, I have 3 open questions. I haven't dismissed anyone, so let me quickly look. Anonymous, can't see that anymore. But meanwhile, Marie-Louise, I have seen that some people have put in the chat questions about tools measuring emotional intelligence. And I just want to read the 2, so you could take that to allow me to go into the questions. It says, I'm also aware of a tool that can be used to measure one's emotional intelligence. From this assessment, you will know the areas where you are lacking. Then you can work on that. One major step of getting to improve your emotional intelligence is your ability to accept the negatives, either from your assessment or from feedback from others, and you're ready to commit. Thank you. And there is another one that says there are different tools by the different gurus that you can use to assess yourself. These are in the chats. Can I ask everybody who wants to ask questions to put it in the Q&A? It makes it easier for us to follow. Thank you very much. So I'll look for the pending questions whilst you answer this about the tools.
Okay. Yes, the tools, you know, all the tools of measuring emotional intelligence relate to the skills. So the tools of feedback relate to the skills from the other people, from managing relationships with other people. So it is how you are using the knowledge of yourself and how you are using the knowledge of other people's emotions. Now, so it's a two-way thing. What the tool of feedback, which is, if it's negative or positive, it is your knowledge and understanding of where the person is coming from, which enables you to assess your level of emotional intelligence and enables you to be able to relate to them better. Ultimately, the ultimate result of applying good emotional intelligence is improving relationships, working in harmony, being able to achieve results in harmony and in togetherness without conflict. That's the ultimate objective of applying good emotional intelligence. So the feedback, what you do with feedback, you know, remember one of the things we talked about in the beginning was being able to laugh at yourself and to solicit constructive criticism about yourself. So in that instance, you don't see criticism as anything negative. You see criticism as helping you to become self-aware, you know, because a lot of the time people are just not aware of themselves. And therefore, when they get the feedback of themselves, which is negative, because they are not self-aware, they become offended and they are not able to deal with it. So yes, feedback, accepting negative feedback is one way of demonstrating good emotional intelligence, because it's you see it as a tool to help you to become self-aware, which in itself is a major tool in making you better emotionally intelligent.
Okay, Sam, I can see you are back. Could you take over? Thank you.
Okay.
Sam, are you here?
Yes. Thank you so much, Sarah. You are an angel. You stepped in at the right time. All right, so we are almost at the end, 10 minutes to the end. There are a couple of questions that if Marie-Louise can do it in 1 minute. He says, please explain malaise again. You talk about malaise. Please explain it if you can do it in 2 seconds. And the other one is, would appreciation of temperaments contribute to how effectively emotional intelligence works? Yes, the point has been made by Sarah. There are some people have, and there are tools. There are scientific tools, there are methods, there are 360-degree tools which you can use to assess your various level of awareness, regulation, empathy, and so on. So there are tools there that you can use. But as Marie-Louise is saying, the ultimate test of your level of intelligence is how successful you are with relating with people, dealing with people, and getting results with people. If you can do that, that's it. All right. So so the first question is explain malaise, and the second question is appreciation of temperaments. Last week we talked about the DISC, and I want to encourage all of you. We have a full course on DISC. It is a very good tool to know yourself and to know others. The DISC personality profiling is important to help you know yourself, know others, know your competencies, your strengths, and how to relate, communicate with other people. And we have a course on which we can provide to you. So Marie-Louise will take those 2 questions. There's one more, if you can just add it, all that in 1 minute. How do you handle a superior who feels threatened by you? I think it goes into the first question. So thank you, Marie-Louise. Take those ones and let's wrap up.
Okay, so malaise is the opposite of well-being. Malaise is simply when you don't feel so well, you know. So it's simply the opposite of well-being. That's malaise. Now, the second question is, what's the second question again?
Will appreciation of temperament contribute to how effectively emotional intelligence work?
Well, definitely. I mean, if a person, again, it boils down to awareness, right? If a person is aware of their temperament, that is the self-awareness that we're talking about, because that self-awareness then enables you to know what to regulate and what not to regulate. And so, yes, knowledge of your own temperament and the temperament of the people that you're dealing with is important in being able to forge a good relationship and to be emotionally intelligent, because at the end of the day, we've said that emotions are what control our actions, and our actions are what we bring to bear on work situations and all other situations. So yes, knowledge of our temperament does help in creating that awareness that enables us to regulate or to manage our behavior. Now, the last question, Sam, can you recap the last question, please?
The question of how do you handle a superior who feels threatened?
Okay, a superior who feels threatened
by you.
By you. How do you handle it? Well, yes. How do you assess that the superior is threatened by you? Again, it is what it is that you are looking at in the superior to be able to determine that they feel threatened by you. If you feel that your superior feels threatened by you, that means that's your own assessment, right? And you need to be able to evaluate that assessment by, one, again, applying the rules of sitting in the shoes of the superior. Okay, now if by that evaluation you feel that the superior feels threatened by you, then you need to ask yourself, what have you communicated, or what kind of behavior or emotions have you shown to bring about that threat? You know, a lot of the time, a superior may feel threatened because of the competence of a subordinate. I mean, that's, if it's about competence and you feel that the competence is what is creating which is the source of the threat, then it means that you need to, it can shape the conversation that you have with this superior, you know. It's not a very easy thing to approach a superior that you think feels threatened by you, right? Yeah. But if you understand where they are coming from, it can then drive and shape the conversation or the engagement that you hold with that superior. So that, I mean, if it's information sharing or sharing things about what has to be done, you know, that will make that superior comfortable enough and to bring, to reduce that threat, then that is what you need to do. In all situations, I think, again, the knowledge of what is driving that person to feel that way is the most important thing in all of this. And so you need to find out what is the cause of that feeling. And once you know and understand the cause, then you can begin to address it.
Thank you very, very, very much. There are few more questions, but ladies and gentlemen, we unfortunately cannot take all the questions. Somebody's asking whether men are more emotionally intelligent, and some people say they have been on their own, they can work better, and so many other questions. We thank you for all the interaction. Look, we're going to continue on this platform. We have many amazing topics and speakers coming. Unfortunately, we've not given Marie-Louise enough time because this subject is so important, and maybe we need to do a repeat of it. That's why we did the first part, which is self-awareness, last week, and this part, you can see the spans of this topic. Now, I want to remind you once again of Live to Lead, but before Marie goes, I just want to share this simple story with you to emphasize the importance of emotional intelligence. A gentleman decided to leave the city where he is living and to move to another city. As he was going, he met an old man on the road and asked the old man, how are the people from the city you are coming from? Because I'm moving to go and stay there. So the old man asked him, how are the people from the city where you are moving from? He says, the people there are wicked, they are bad people. In fact, they're so terrible, that's why I'm leaving. The old man tells him, well, unfortunately, the city you are going to, the people there are worse. So you decide whether you're going back to where you are coming from or you are going to that city. The old man left him. Few meters away, he met another person from the same city. And he says, old man, I'm moving from one city and I'm going to the next city where you are coming from. How are the people there? The old man asked the same question. How are the people from the city you are moving from? And this gentleman said, oh my God, I'm even sad that I'm leaving that city. These are great people, beautiful people. They are just wonderful people. I'm just really, I don't feel like leaving, but for some circumstance, I am obliged. If you give it to me 10 times, I will live in that city. The old man says, well, that's great. The city you are going to have people who are even more wonderful people. Now, what is the moral of this story? Your awareness of yourself and the awareness of the people who you live with will determine your evaluation of how you appreciate them and how you relate to them. If you're not aware of your own emotions, your negative emotions, which are rubbing on the others, you will say the others are bad. But if you are aware of your own emotions and how the others are also feeling and you empathize with them, you will have a very beautiful relationship. So we want to thank Marie-Louise for this time, and we want to thank all of you. Next week on the leadership platform, we're going to have two other great women, and they're going to talk to us about the personal branding essentials for leaders. You don't want to miss this for anything. And so we want to thank you. We've crossed our time, but I'll give 30 seconds to Marie to say her last words, and then we'll say bye-bye. But don't forget, go on the website, register for Live to Lead. You will not regret it. It's going to be wonderful and amazing learning experience. It's only $79. Some of you eat fufu for 200 cedis at a sitting. And so those are 2 fufu bowls for a life-changing learning experience. Marie-Louise, please, your last words.
Okay, well, what I will say is that I think that the biggest thing in becoming emotionally intelligent is first become aware of your own disruptive emotions, and then grow that awareness to the point where you develop strategies, workable strategies that help you to control your disruptive emotion. Once you do that, you will be able to see situations through the lenses of the other person. That is the single most important skill in becoming emotionally intelligent. I think if we will all see what it is that we do that is disruptive and does not help our relationship, that is 80% of the work done. And then the rest of it is looking at the other person. Thank you very much for this session, and we will talk again another time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Isaac, thank you, Kofi, thank you, Sarah, thank you for all the team. Thank you, Priscilla, thank you, Hawau. I appreciate all of you working behind the scene to bring us the leadership platform. God bless all of you, and have a good night.